السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عبادي الذين اصطفى وعلى آله وصحبه ومن ولا ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الجزاء. وبعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في قول بعد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجر إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. We thank and praise Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all His bounties, His blessings, and peace and salutations upon our noble leader, our master and our guide, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whom Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent His rahmatul lil alameen. In that mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept in the teachings, the lifestyle, the way, and the mannerism of our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim tasliman kathiran kathira. Brothers in Islam, just a reminder, as we are enjoying very, very good weather throughout South Africa, mostly there's most probably a heat wave, that do not forget our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan, that 77, when I read last, 77 people so far, they froze to death because of temperatures that is plummeted minus 34 degrees Celsius. We're sitting here today in 34 degrees Celsius. They have minus 34 degrees Celsius. So it's very, very cold that side of the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them and the entire ummah that is suffering out there today. Yes, we are again in that particular time where people will be taking to the streets. People are fed up. People have heard enough. They were promised too much. There's no service delivery. They don't know who to turn to. They don't know who to believe anymore. And we as Muslims, we are part and parcel of this entire scene that is playing out here in South Africa and elsewhere in the globe, brothers. Once upon a time, in this narration comes in Bukhari, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sitting fi majlisin, in a gathering. He used to sit and loved sitting with the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum. They were his companions. And fayuhaddithum, and he used to speak to them, he used to encourage them, he used to give them advice and words of encouragement. Suddenly, a Bedouin out of nowhere appeared. And he says, Ya Muhammad, mata sa'a. Out of nowhere, this Bedouin comes whilst Rasulullah is busy speaking. He says, Oh Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when is Qiyamah? When is Qiyamah? When will the hour happen? But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, according to one narration, he didn't respond to him, because you do not cut the word of a person who's speaking. That is adab, that is character, that is akhlaq. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continued his speech. And then he said, that where is the person that asked me the question earlier? Show me where he is. فَقَالَ أَنَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. This person raised his hand. He didn't leave the majlis. He didn't leave the gathering. He said, Here I am, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him that إِذَا ضُيَّتِ الْأَمَانَةِ فَانْتَظِرِ السَّاعَةِ. That when amana, when trust will be broken, when trust will be breached, when there will be no more trust left in this world, at that time you have to wait for the approach of the hour. This is who saying? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Saying this to his companions and to the person who's asking the question. And then this person said, وَكَيْفَ عِضَاءَتُهَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. What are the signs? How will trust be breached? How will trust be broken? Then, and this is a lesson for me and for you, the predicament we find ourselves in today and for the last 3 years is because of our own hands, our own doings. Our own doings created the environment that we are living in today. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, إِذَا وُسِّدَ الْأَمْرُ إِلَىٰ غَيْرِ أَهْلِهِ فَانْتَظِرِ السَّاعَةِ. When the matter is entrusted to people who are not able, who are not capable to deal with certain issues, to deal with certain job descriptions, who are not fit for a certain position, then at that particular point you have to wait for Qiyamah. That will be one major sign. And that sign is playing out today, brothers. Whether it is on a international level, if you take the so-called Arab states, there's not a single leader
that is fit to run the state of affairs or to look after the Muslim Ummah. Whether it is on a religious level, how many ulama failed their communities for the last 2-3 years? Whether it is in any position, if you don't pick the right person for the job, then this is what you will be sitting with. South Africa, this country, in the midst of this so-called mismanagement crisis, power crisis, electricity crisis, they have profited so much from the so-called war between Russia and Ukraine. Can you believe our country? They have sold coal, much needed coal, that we are in need of today. They've sold it, exports increased since the war between Russia started. From that time until now, it increased 720% the exports. They're exporting essential things from South Africa, benefiting from the war, while the citizens of this country is suffering. Your appliances, your lives disrupted. Those people living on oxygen machines, on CPAP machines, they can't even use it. People are fed up, brothers. South Africa is profiting. The people that were elected are all signs of Qiyamah. They rather see themselves making millions in euros and dollars than selling those essential things back to its citizens for its use. After all, the wealth of this country belongs to who? It belongs to its people. It doesn't belong to the hand of an elitist government that claims to be democratic. And we have contributed to this. Those people who told you in 1994 that vote for the lesser evil, they have to come now today in 2023 and show me what is a lesser evil. We are living with people that are far more evil, surpassing their predecessors. That is the reality of the matter. Our ulama those days convinced us, no, we'll have freedom, we'll enjoy this, we are more enslaved. Wallahi, you know why? Because we have not taken the Quran as our source of guidance. When you want to appoint anyone or any person, the Quran mentioned at least in 2 places, one in Surah Yusuf, the criteria, and one in Surah Qasas, the verse that I have recited. If you want to know who is the right person for the job, whether it be running an institution, or whether it be running a medical facility, or whether it means running social services, or running the country, then you have to take the words of one female. And that is the wife of Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Her name was Safura. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be happy and pleased with her. When Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he escaped his dynasty away from Firaun, he became destitute, in need of many things. He had nothing with him. You know, and he ended up by a water well. And at this water well, there were people with their animals serving and taking out water for the animals. But Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he observed 2 females standing one side. Because those who had power and authority and who were strong, they were the people around the well. Those who were deemed weak, they would stand one side and wait their turn. Much like what is happening today. The elitists will eat up the cream of the crop and the scraps they will throw for society. This is for you, be happy. Over 3 million rand our president is earning per annum. 2.9 million his deputy is earning. Then there's ministers and senators and a bunch of useless ward councillors that the apartheid government never had, but everything was functioning. You saw so many ward councillors, extra expenses on the state, serving absolutely no cause. earning over 600k per annum. For doing what? When he observed these two females, he took their animals, he gave them water, and he returned the animals to them, and they left. After a while, he went, rested under a tree, and he said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. This is a dua taught to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was the words of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. If you are experiencing any difficulty, financial difficulty, any burden, then read this dua abundantly. Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. Ya Allah, I'm in need of whatever good you might send my way. That is the meaning. And after a short while, he just read this dua. فَجَاءَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ. Then suddenly one of these two females appeared in complete modesty, not revealing anything of her body. She says that my father's calling you, لِيَجْزِيَكَ أَجْرَ مَا سَقَيْتَ لَنَا, so that my father can repay you for what you've done to us. Look at this beautiful incident, brothers. He left. He met up with Nabi Shu'aib alayhi salatu wasalam. And they had a conversation, and he told him, I left oppression. I left the land of tyranny. I was nurtured in a palace, the palace of Firaun. I had everything at my disposal. But I left all of that behind because he's a dhalim, he's an oppressor. I will never support oppression. Shu'aib alayhi salam told him, La takhaf najawta. Don't fear, you've been saved from these oppressive people. His daughter comes forward and says, and this is a lesson for me and for you. Sometimes we hire, sometimes we vote out of pity, thinking that we're doing good, but we're doing more harm. Thinking we want to put a bread on someone's table. At the end of the day, that person will end up stabbing us in the back. That person will break in and kill our families. That person might plot and plan against us. This daughter, Safura, جاءت, قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجر. She looks at the father, addresses him as a daughter would address her father, with utmost respect and dignity. No vulgarness from her side, because children were children during those days. She says, oh my father, ista'ajir, employ, hire him. Inna khayra man ista'jarta al-qawiyul amin. Because indeed the best of people that you can hire is a person who is qawi and a person who's amin. Two words the Quran is teaching me and you for matters related to our lives, our health, our religion in future, our government and our governance. She tells her father, the best person you can hire for any job is a person who's qawi, a person who has strength. And secondly, a person who's amin, a person who's trustworthy. Two qualities. If one of them is missing, don't hire, don't employ. But look at the father. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives firasat, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a parent that ability to see things far, he turns around and he asks his daughter, how do you know he's strong? And how do you know he is trustworthy? You only saw him once. And that is when he gave water and you invited him here. How do you know? What is your assessment of him? We're assessing people today based on posters, voting time. We haven't seen them before and we won't see them after they get our vote. You don't see them after that also. They with their empty promises disappear. We are to be blamed, wallahi. You can agree to disagree, but we are to be blamed for the situation that me and you are in today. His daughter relates the story to their father. She says, oh my father, that I saw this man, Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Rafa al-Hijara, I saw him lift up a stone. It takes 10 normal human beings to lift up that stone. But he lifted it up all alone. So from that I deduced that this person is qawi. He's strong. Physically strong, brothers. Not only mentally strong. Physical strength is required for any matter. That is how I know he's qawi. And how do you know he's trustworthy? Look at this, brothers. We've entrusted our lives, the lives of our daughters, of our children, sons, our mothers. We've entrusted to a government that has absolutely no concern for its citizens, like every other government. We've entrusted our females to pedophiles. We've entrusted our females, besides our sons and fathers, to people who loot and steal. And then we crying at the end of the day, what is happening? We want to run outside and go and protest, which will yield absolutely no results, except some thirst and a host of other haram activities, perhaps intermingling of sexes, chit-chatting, cheating and chatting, and whatever other nonsense carries on, and boom boxes on the shoulders, and Bob Marley songs playing in the background of a revolution. Half the crowd is goofed already, singing freedom. This is what happens in these marches. Nevertheless, brothers, she tells her father, I know he's trustworthy, because when I went to call him, and I told him that you invited him home, that you want to compensate him for his efforts. You know what he told me? He told me that please walk behind me. You're a female. Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam said, please walk behind me. You're a female. Any other man, or most men, would have said, no, it's okay, you proceed in front because the view is fine from the behind. Fine from behind. A lot on the plot, isn't it what they say? And fine from behind. Yes. There's no lowering of gazes. There's lowering of gauges, yes, petrol gauges, but not lowering of gazes, because people want to stay in view. Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. He says, walk behind. I don't want to get your body scent and your body odor. Number one. I don't want to look at your silhouette and your physique. Number two. Ibn Kathir mentions this riwayah from Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala and Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and others as well, confirming this narration. He says, because there's no navigation, and he doesn't even want to have a conversation with her. Look at this, brothers. A man would have taken the opportunity, strange female, strange male. Let me chat her up. Get a number, social media, WhatsApp and Facebook later on, and Instagram. No. He says to her, walk behind. I will walk in front. If you see me taking a wrong path, if you see me taking a wrong direction, walking in the wrong way, then just pick up a stone and throw it at me. And that will be the cue that you have to take another road. Don't even tell me, go left and go right. Rather just throw a stone in front and I will know that قَدْ ضَلَلْتُ الطَّرِيقَ, that I'm taking a wrong route in a wrong road. Modesty, haya. She tells her father, this is how I know he is Amin. Because he did not look at your daughter, oh father. And he did not speak to your daughter except what was necessary. And that is people, those are people that we should be trusting our lives with. When we do make a conscious decision to appoint any leader, religious, or on any other levels of our lives, make sure, brothers, that you take the Quran, these verses as your source of guidance. You will never ever go astray. Never ever will you go astray. Because this is the time that we are living in. Suddiq al-kadhib. That a compulsive liar is being regarded as a truthful person. Wa kudhib as-sadiq. And a truthful person is being branded as a liar. This is the time, the zaman that we're living in. Liars out there, they are made to seem as if they are truthful. And this has been happening for some time now. Since this whole COVID charade. وَكُذِّبَ صَادِقٌ وَأْتُمِنَ الْخَائِنِ. A person who's not trustworthy will be entrusted with the amanat of your children, of your health, of your life, of your wealth. And then, وَخُوِّنَ الْأَمِينُ. A trustworthy person will be labeled as someone who's not loyal, someone who cannot be trusted. Isn't this what is happening today? Those that are supposed to be trusted, they are deemed unfit. Those who are not supposed to be trusted, they are deemed fit. وَتَكَلَّمَ الْجَاهِلُ. The voice of the ignorant person will be amplified. You saw the clip, Pfizer CEO made billions in profits, killed millions of people, couldn't answer at the Davos place where they gathered in Switzerland, all the elitists. When the journalists asked them simple questions, how could you have tested, or how could you have given consent for usage of an untested poison labeled as a vaccine, that it is fit for human use? You never tested it on people. He couldn't answer. Because the money is made already. The money has been made already, brothers. This pandemic, one brother from the UK sent out a clip and he mentioned my name. People were sending me this clip. And in this clip, this brother said that for 2 years I've been speaking. Yes, it's more than 2 years already. How many people he did, how many enemies we made, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows alone. But what I can tell you is that two types of people are responsible. Two types of people are responsible for majority of the problems that we are facing today, both religiously and to do with our health. And this is under the commentary of that hadith. Number one, يضيء رجلان. The two types of people will be responsible for the mischief in this world. One is nisfu tabib, is a half-baked medical practitioner, a half-baked doctor. All those doctors who had no clue about vaccines, who had absolutely no clue what was in the vial, they are all half-baked. They were the people promoting this because of getting financial kickbacks. And the second person, nisful alim, was the half-baked ulama that were used from the manabir and the pulpits of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to amplify the voice of these satanic governments and these big pharma companies that were out to kill the people. The most dangerous people in the world are these two people. One, why? Because nisfu tabib yuhlikul abdan. A half-baked medical practitioner will destroy your body, and he will destroy people around him by giving wrong medication, by not knowing what they're speaking about. And there's many of them out there. Some finally came to their senses. And nisful alim yudayyul adyan, a half-baked alim, he will destroy your religion, brothers. We had ulama speaking out, encouraging the people. Besides the voting aspect, they told us, listen to the government, listen to Safra, listen to this medical fraternity, listen. Across the globe, ulama were not supposed to speak. Ya layta law annahum sakatu, if only they could keep quiet. They were shooting fatwas in fatawa, left, right and center, and they were not able to do that. Even now, during this World Cup, this Qatar World Cup, one sheikh or imam or whatever he is from Cape Town, in running down the Muslims, he said, we should learn tahara. Listen to this, brothers, don't you think this is completely ridiculous? He saw a few Japanese people cleaning the stadium after one stupid match at this haram function, where there's intermingling of sexes and a host of other haram activities, like looking at the aura of men, looking at and having conversation with one another, and all these things. He says, we should learn tahara from the Japanese people. We, the Muslims, should learn tahara from people that does not shave their armpits or shave their pubics. We have to learn from such people, brothers. He's saying the Muslim Ummah should learn tahara. He himself perhaps never studied tahara, but he's inferring that we should learn. This is jahala that is being spread from the mimbar. Said we should learn tahara. Why? Because this is Islam. You have to clean up your mess. He's saying that people who cleaned the stadium and made it nice for other people to join in the haram festivities, that is a good act. Have you ever heard such nonsense in your life? It's like me going into a bar, cleaning everything and say, okay, I did my bit for society. Now the others can come and enjoy a nice cold beer. This is what he's basically saying. Now these are the half-baked ulama. These are the people that has misled us. وَيَتَكَلَّمُ الْجَاهِلُ, an ignorant person, his voice will be heard. Otherwise, how the hell you get it right? A person like Bill Gates, who's got no medical, he didn't study medicine in the least bit, but he has the final say in the voice. وَسَكَتَ الْعَالِمِ, and the ulama of haqq, they, brothers, they will be silenced. They will be silenced, and they will be silent also. Many ulama are not speaking out, they're silent. And many ulama are silenced. And this is what they've done during the last couple of years. You see the entire scene playing out of you. And you will realize, and this is what I want you to realize. I want you to realize and understand one thing. The words of Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala. Before you go sleep tonight, me and you, and this is what we're going to do. Before we close our eyes tonight, we're going to do this. Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala, he says, Inni akhsha ala nafsi. He says that I fear upon myself on the day of Qiyamah. Yuqalu li ya Aba Uwaymir. It will be said to me, Ya Aba Uwaymir. Uwaymir was his kunya. That hal alimta, did you know? He says, I fear and I dread that day when I will stand in the court of Almighty Allah. No interpreter between me, no lawyer, no advocate, nothing. Just me and Allah. And it will be said to me, did you know? And I will say, Alimtu, yes, I knew. Did you know that they were oppressors? Yes, I knew. Did you know that they were corrupt? Yes, I know. Did you know that they were looting the country? Yes, I know. I knew. Did you know that these were not real ulama? Do you know that these ulama were captured? Yes, I knew. Because your tongue won't answer, your body will answer in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your tongue will be sealed, your body will say, yes, alimtu. Then Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask, فَمَاذَا عَمِلْتَ فِي مَا عَلِمْتَ. So what did you do with the knowledge that you knew? How did you change your situation? How did you change the situation in your society, in your community? How did you speak out? What did you do to bring change? This is what we should ask ourselves before we go sleep tonight, brothers in Islam. This is a pertinent question. We all know what is the truth. And we all know who's responsible for putting us in this mess where we are today. But that is not the point. The point is, what did we do to differ? to change or alter the situation? Nothing. In fact, we are left more confused after 3 years than what we were initially. And still today we cannot differentiate between the good and the bad, between the good team and the bad team, between the good ulama, between the ulama usul, between good leaders, between bad leaders. And if you think that is bad, then you're not the only people. And I want to end off with this. It is not only us that becomes confused sometimes. In a narration narrated by Shahr ibn Hawshab, he says that one day, the followers of Iblis came to him. There's not only one shaitan. There are shayateen. One main one, and all of his progeny and his followers. They came to him, to their boss, and they said, we cannot differentiate between a pious person and between a learned person. Because they were in one village, in one qarya, in one area. They came and they said, we don't know how to differentiate between the two. Shaitan told them, no problem, I will teach you the difference between the two. He says, come follow me. He disguises Shaitan, brothers. Shaitan, Ibn Abi Dunya mentions this. He disguises him with a turban, a sujood mark on his forehead. Shaitan, you can't outthink him, he's smart. Big beard, like a big Hazrat, sitting there in the road. He tells his followers, his offspring, he says, watch this. A pious worshipper comes past, he says, excuse me, I have a question to ask you. Inni sa'iluka an shay. I want to ask you one question. The person said, no problem, ask. He says, that is your Lord, is your Rabb, is your Allah able to put this entire universe and whatever it contains into a single egg without enlarging or decreasing the size of an egg? And the worshipper stands there, large, big, small, you know. He says, I don't know. So Shaitan, he left this person, he told his followers, you see, you know what I did? I just cast a doubt in the being that he's worshipping. He's going to doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now for the rest of his life. And he left him, he says, this is how you do it. And then he said again, and the alim comes past. The real alim. He comes past, he says, the same question he asked him, he says, is your Allah able to do all of this? Without blinking, the alim says, yes, my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do that. Without shrinking or enlarging the egg. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. Because my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if he wants to do anything, all he needs to do is say, kun, be, and it is. Then Shaitan turned around disgraced. He says, can you see this guy? He's throwing all our efforts. He's making it wasted. This is a dangerous person, this alim here. Because through him, many people will receive guidance. So they were confused. We are still confused today. The example of these shayateen is like the example of the messes out there today, brothers. That they know who's the good people, still they do not approach them. They want to be involved with those bad people who will spoil their dunya and their akhirah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. We are heading for worse and for bad times. We are heading for worse and for bad times. Only Allahu waliyul muttaqeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the protector of those who are God-fearing. Seek protection through Allah, seek protection through istighfar, seek protection through your actions and your good deeds. وَمَا تَفِيكِ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وَالْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. جَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا.